Do you think you've heard the full conversation between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office? You are mistaken, because today I will show you the continuation of this dialogue and the details of the secret call to Vladimir Putin. Watch to the end. This continuation of the story of Vladimir Zelensky and Donald Trump has shocked millions of people. It will change your ideas about the current president. All characters are fictional, any coincidences are accidental, and the author is not responsible for any consequences. Trump and Zelensky sat in the Oval Office, the weight of global politics hanging heavy in the air. Trump leaned forward, his tone both commanding and calculated, as he began his monologue. Trump: I am friends with each of these presidents, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to make deals. I can be more violent than any other president you know, but then America won't make a deal. We don't just talk, we act. And right now, the world is watching. Ukraine is burning, and if we don't act decisively, this could spiral into World War I too. Do you understand the stakes here? Author's note: Trump's opening is classic Trump brash, self-assured, and laced with a mix of threat and promise. His tone reflects his belief in his own deal-making prowess, but it also reveals his tendency to center himself in every narrative, even one as grave as war. J.D., standing to the side, interjected with a calm but pointed rebuttal. J.D.: I want to answer that. For 4 years, we had President Biden, who spoke harshly about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant part of the country. The path to peace and prosperity lies in diplomacy, not chest-thumping. America became great because it engaged in diplomacy, and that's exactly what President Trump is doing. But let's not pretend words alone will stop tanks. Author's note: J.D.'s response is measured, attempting to balance Trump's bravado with a call for pragmatism. His reference to Biden's failures is a subtle jab at the previous administration, but his emphasis on diplomacy reveals a more strategic, less impulsive mindset. Zelensky, his face etched with the weariness of a leader whose nation is under siege, leaned forward, his voice steady but laced with frustration. Zelensky: May I ask? Putin has occupied our territories since 2014. There was Obama, then Trump, then Biden, and now Trump again. And I hope Trump stops him. But the situation hasn't changed since 2014. People continue to die on the front lines. We've talked many times, made deals, signed ceasefires like the one with Macron and Merkel in 2019, but Putin doesn't stop. He violates every agreement. He kills our people, refuses to exchange prisoners. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about, J.D.? Author's note: Zelensky's response is raw and impassioned, reflecting the desperation of a leader who has seen too many promises broken. His tone is accusatory, not just at Putin, but at the West for its perceived inaction. He's a man who has lost faith in words and is demanding action. J.D. shot back, his voice rising slightly, a hint of impatience creeping in. J.D.: I'm talking about diplomacy that will end the destruction of your country. I think it's disrespectful of you, Zelensky, to come into the Oval Office and air this in public. Now you're sending people to the front lines because you don't have enough manpower. You should be thanking Trump for his efforts to prevent this war from escalating further. Author's note: J.D.'s tone shifts here, revealing a defensive edge. He's clearly frustrated by Zelensky's public critique, which he sees as undermining Trump's authority. His emphasis on gratitude reflects a transactional view of international relations, said, in exchange for loyalty. Zelensky's eyes narrowed, his voice sharpening. Zelensky: Have you ever been to our country? Have you seen the destruction? Have you talked to the mothers who've lost their sons? You sit here, behind your beautiful ocean, and lecture me about respect. But you don't feel the war. Not yet. But you will. The world is smaller than you think. Author's note: Zelensky's retort is cutting, a direct challenge to J.D.'s privilege and detachment. His warning about the war reaching America is both a prediction and a threat, underscoring the interconnectedness of global conflicts. Trump interrupted, his voice booming, a mix of frustration and condescension. Trump: God bless you, Zelensky, but don't tell us how we're going to feel. We're trying to solve the problem. You're not in a position to dictate. We will feel good. We will feel very strong. Right now, you've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position. You're putting the lives of millions on the line. You're putting World War I too on the line. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country that has given you so much. Author's note: Trump's interruption is classic domineering, self-assured, and dismissive. His reference to World War I/II is both a dramatic flourish and a calculated move to assert control over the narrative. His tone suggests he views Zelensky as a supplicant, not an equal. J.D. chimed in again, his tone cooler, but no less pointed. J.D., have you ever said thank you? In October, you traveled to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition. Say a few words of appreciation to the United States and to Trump, who is trying to save your country. Author's note: J.D.'s demand for gratitude reveals a transactional mindset, one that views aid as a favor to be repaid with loyalty. It's a stark contrast to Zelensky's emotional appeals, highlighting the cultural and political divide between the two men. Zelensky's response was sharp, his voice rising. Zelensky, you think if you talk very loudly about the war, it will help you. We remain in our country, and we remain strong. From the very beginning of the war, we were alone, and we are grateful to our fate for this. It is you who... Trump interrupted again, his tone dismissive. Trump, we've transferred $350 billion in military equipment through the stupid president. If you didn't have that, this war would have ended in 2 weeks, maybe 3 days, like Putin said, or maybe earlier. Author's note: Trump's interruption is both a boast and a rebuke, underscoring his belief in his own indispensability. His reference to the stupid president is a jab at Biden, revealing his obsession with undermining his predecessor. Zelensky shot back, his voice trembling with anger. Zelensky, don't. You don't understand what it's like to live under bombs. You don't understand what it's like to lose your people every day. Of course, we want to stop the war, but we need guarantees. Real guarantees. Author's note: Zelensky's response is raw and emotional, a plea for empathy and understanding. His demand for guarantees reflects his deep skepticism of empty promises born from years of betrayal. Trump leaned back, his tone shifting to one of finality. Trump, you'll get a ceasefire sooner than you think, but let me tell you, you have no trump cards. With us, you have trump cards. Without us, you have nothing. It's not going to be easy, but you'll have to fight. And if we leave, you'll have to fight alone. But you don't look very grateful, frankly. It's not very pleasant. Author's note: Trump's closing statement is a mix of threat and promise, underscoring his belief in his own indispensability. His reference to trump cards is both a play on his name and a reminder of his perceived power. His tone is dismissive, reflecting his transactional view of international relations. Now you will hear a shocking conversation between Trump and Putin that you have not heard before. Please check all the information mentioned in the official sources. I have no guarantees that the found dialogue is valid. After Zelensky left the Oval Office, Trump leaned back in his chair, his expression a mix of frustration and calculation. He glanced at the phone on his desk, then picked it up and dialed a familiar number. The call connected after a few rings, and Trump's voice took on a tone of casual authority. Trump. Vladimir, it's Donald. We need to talk about Zelensky. That guy is becoming a real problem. He's ungrateful, doesn't listen, and keeps pushing for more. I've given him everything: money, weapons, support, and he's still complaining. What do you think we should do? Author's note: Trump's tone here is less confrontational than with Zelensky, almost conspiratorial. He's positioning himself as the deal-maker, seeking Putin's input while subtly asserting his own power. Putin's response? Putin's voice was calm, almost amused. Donald, Zelensky is a stubborn man. He doesn't understand the realities of power. He thinks he can win this war, but he's wrong. If you want to solve this, you need to show him who's in charge. Cut off his support, and he'll come crawling back. He's weak, desperate. He'll fold under pressure. Author's note: Putin's response is calculated, reflecting his cold, pragmatic approach to geopolitics. He sees Zelensky as a pawn in a larger game, and his advice to Trump is both a test and a manipulation. Trump's counter? Trump chuckled, but there was an edge to his voice. I like the way you think, Vladimir, but we need to be careful. The world is watching. If we push too hard, it could backfire. Zelensky's got the media eating out of his hand. They love an underdog. If I cut him off, I'll look like the bad guy. Author's note: Trump's response reveals his awareness of the optics. He's wary of damaging his image. His tone is a mix of admiration for Putin's ruthlessness and caution about the potential fallout. Putin's epic statement. Putin's voice grew colder, more deliberate. "Donald, let me tell you something about Zelensky. He's a comedian who thinks he can play the hero, but heroes don't win wars, power does. He's clinging to the idea that the West will save him, but the West is divided. Europe is tired of this war. America is tired of this war. And Zelensky? He's running out of time. If you want to end this, you need to show him there's no other option. No more weapons, no more money. Let him feel the weight of his decisions." Author's note. Putin's statement is chilling in its clarity. He's not just talking about Zelensky, he's talking about the broader geopolitical landscape. His words are a reminder of his own strategy patience, pressure, and the relentless pursuit of power. Trump's epic statement. Trump leaned forward, his voice rising. "You know what, Vladimir? You're right. Zelensky's playing a dangerous game. He's putting the lives of millions on the line, and for what? Pride? Ego? He's got no trump cards left. None. With me, he had a chance. With me, he had leverage. But if he keeps pushing, he's going to find out what happens when the United States walks away. And let me tell you, it won't be pretty. He's playing with fire, and he's going to get burned." Author's note. Trump's statement is a mix of bravado and threat. He's positioning himself as the ultimate arbiter of power, the one who holds all the cards. His reference to trump cards is both a play on his name and a reminder of his perceived dominance. Putin's final words. Putin's tone softened slightly, but the underlying menace remained. "Donald, you're a smart man. You know how this game is played. Zelensky is a distraction. The real question is what you want out of this. Do you want to be remembered as the president who ended the war, or the president who let it spiral out of control? The choice is yours." Author's note. Putin's final words are a masterstroke of manipulation. He's appealing to Trump's ego while subtly steering him toward a course of action that benefits Russia. His tone is almost paternal, but the threat is unmistakable. Trump's closing statement. Trump's voice was firm, resolute. "I'll tell you what I want, Vladimir. I want to be remembered as the president who made the best deals. And if that means cutting Zelensky loose, so be it. But let's be clear, this isn't over. Not by a long shot. You and we're going to make history. But Zelensky? He's just a footnote." Author's note. Trump's closing statement is a mix of determination and self-aggrandizement. He's positioning himself as the ultimate deal-maker, the one who will shape the course of history. His tone is confident, but there's an undercurrent of uncertainty, a recognition that the stakes are higher than ever. What Zelensky will do? Zelensky will continue to push for more aid and guarantees, but his combative tone may alienate key allies. He'll likely seek alternative partnerships, perhaps with European nations or China, to offset his dependence on the US. What Trump will do? Trump will double down on his America First stance, using the crisis to bolster his image as a dealmaker. He may offer a ceasefire deal, but will demand significant concessions from Ukraine, potentially undermining Zelensky's position. What Putin will do? Putin will exploit the divisions between Ukraine and its allies, using the chaos to consolidate his gains. He may agree to a temporary ceasefire, but will continue to destabilize the region, betting on Western fatigue and infighting. Final author's conclusion. This conversation is a microcosm of the tensions between power, diplomacy, and desperation. Trump's bravado and transactional approach clash with Zelensky's raw emotion and demand for action. J.D.'s measured pragmatism attempts to bridge the gap, but ultimately reveals the deep divides in how each leader views the world. At its core, this dialogue underscores the high stakes of global politics, where words can spark wars or forge peace, and where the fate of nations hangs in the balance. The end. What do you think about this story? Write in the comments, subscribe, and wait for the next video. It will show you Trump's shocking conversation with the president of North Korea. If you don't subscribe, you will make a huge mistake.